You guys familiar with Raheem Mostert?
Oh yeah, I heard
yes.
him. I heard him talking yesterday.
Yeah, you did?
Yeah.
All right. What intrigued you about what he
was
said?
talking
I got
about
some clips.
He was talking about his coach and about how the season ended. And, he said, "Thank you, Omar, for bringing up the fact that we were banged up."
You heard this yesterday, or you heard this today?
Was that today?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, he talked yesterday, but I'm like, when did you hear this? You heard it on Joe or something?
Yeah, while I was driving in.
All right, that's what I thought.
Okay.
I was very confused. I was like, wait,
I
what?
mean, let's be honest. It was a coffee and a meal ago. It felt like yesterday.
Did it?
Yeah.
He
was a new person when you heard it.
Raheem Mostert, yeah. So here's the clip Leroy's talking about. Omar asked him about how the meetings at the end of the season went with Mike McDaniel after they all got banged up. And this is what Raheem Mostert had to say about that.
Obviously, how the season ended was painful for everybody, but you know Mike probably the most. Some people don't factor in that mostly you guys were on one leg, the top players, in terms of how the season ended. How do you think the season's conclusion impacted Mike in terms of his thought process, his goals, his planning?
Yeah, when I had the exit interview with him, and this is a great question, Omar. Not too many people realize the magnitude of what we went through last year, especially towards the end in that playoff game. After talking with Mike and sitting down and having my exit interview, we try to formulate a plan and what's going on at the moment for us. And I asked him, I said, how do you feel about, the season the way it did? He was like, man, he couldn't be any happier, just because there's a lot of different guys that, stepped up to the plate, that made huge contributions, especially like a guy like Bradley Chubb and Jalen Phillips, right? Those guys alone were key ingredients in the offense or in the defense. So, just talking with him about that whole experience, he was happy, but he also knows that there's always more out there. And that's the attitude that you kind of have to have as a head coach and even as a player. I mean, anybody really, being a journalist and everything like that, you always have to have more. You always have to find a way to get better and critique yourself. And he's been able to do that, this offseason. He's understanding his problems that, we had last year, whether it be health or, just not doing the correct things that we needed to do as an offense. So we're just going to go out here and just try to figure it out. And he's on the up and up. He's in good spirits about everything.
All right, there you go.
I'm sorry. Who was that playing basketball?
Are you serious right now?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I already heard.
I already heard. Okay.
Okay.
I get you, but like, what are you doing today?
I'm not. What do you mean? What am I doing?
What are you doing? Turn off Pat McAfee. Turn it off.
No, I want to know who that is.
I want monitors
Look
off.
what you did,
I want them off.
Look
I
what you
want them
did.
off. You're too easily distracted.
No, I'm not. I wasn't distracted. I already heard.
So what'd you make of it? Do tell.
Here's what I would say. That I don't think anybody was more disappointed than the coach, simply because you want an opportunity to show what you can do. You want an opportunity. And as that season got to the end, you start realizing it ain't happening because I got too many guys out. That being said, Mike McDaniel has always managed to stay positive. And I think
a little too positive, though. Some may say, like, if you say he couldn't be happier, like,
no,
I kind of want to, like, what I wanted to hear from Raheem Mostert. I got to be honest with you. I mean, I appreciate the honesty, right? But like,
no.
I would have liked.
I'm a saboteur. Won't you tell us what they should have said?
If I was Raheem, I would have liked to hear, how was he? Miserable, dude. That's how he was. What? Guy was thinking to himself, woof.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Coldest game ever.
Let me ask you
epic collapse. I wanted him to be in his feelings.
Can I ask you a question?
Yep.
A guy who you know for a fact has not been that way all season, regardless of how bad the season or game had gone. He's always stayed positive. why wouldn't he be the same person after the
It's time to
season?
switch it up, dude. You gotta
You don't
laugh.
switch it up. You are who you are.
Sometimes pain
You
is learning.
are who you are.
Pain is learning.
You are who you are.
Marcos,
If you would have said all of a sudden he was miserable, you would say, you know what? He's a fraud.
I like that. I would have said
Stay
that shows
consistent.
growth.
Stay true to who you are.
Nah. What did he do in that one Hard Knocks? What did he listen to? Eminem? It's time to grow up, dude.
Really?
Listen to some classical music. Let that
Wait a
pain
minute,
burn a
you
little
just-
bit.
You just finished singing a song.
What did Pat
of a guy
Riley-
that, give me a beer.
What did-
That's the line you
What
love.
did Pat Riley do after losing to Boston? You know what he did?
Drank some
He
tequila.
got sad and he drank
Mm.
tequila. So I wanted Raheem Mostert to tell me, not that he couldn't be happier. I want to know that Mike McDaniel was miserable, dude, because we were all miserable sitting here soaking in the stink of that collapse.
God, why?
I don't want to hear that he was Mr. Positive
know
about
what?
it. This is not time for a fortune cookie.
Did he say
You guys are terrible. No. Hold on. You guys are terrible.
Why?
Here's why. Because if he would have come out and been exactly what you want him to be,
Mhm.
you'd be like, oh, he's fake.
No, that's not true.
That is true.
That's not true.
If you are something that you haven't been at any point in time, that's fake.
I think it's fake to try and put a positive spin on it.
That's who he is.
Come on. Come on. Marcos, when you hear that.
So you want him to look the part. You don't
No, I
him-
want to know. I want to know that he was feeling hurt. Like, you know, Spo's still, his asses are still chapped over this, the way this season ended. You know,
Why? Because he showed that.
because he's a maniac competitor. If you're gonna try and look on the sunny bright side of everything, how you gonna learn and just think, oh well, we got hurt?
I don't think that's the.
That's the impression
what
that I
you-
got. That's the impression that I got, though.
Oh my
there was a
God.
specific
You're-
part of his statement that I got sidetracked by, like the same way Leroy did, but it's because of his words here. Let me see.
The season's conclusion impacted Mike in terms of his thought process, his goals, his planning.
Yeah, when I had the exit interview with him, and this is a great question, Omar.
Plans.
Not too many people realize the magnitude of what we went through last year, especially towards the end in that playoff game.
Excuses.
After talking with Mike and sitting down and having my exit interview, we try to formulate a plan and what's going on at the moment for us. And I asked him, I said, how do you feel about, the season the way it did? He was like, man, he couldn't be any happier.
Here is my problem. Here's the issue. Raheem asked him, how do you feel about the season? How it
Yeah.
ended? He says, I couldn't be any happier. Do we remember how the season ended? Are we talking about the
How is it
season?
possible that you couldn't be any
Wait a
happier?
minute, wait,
How is that possible?
wait a minute.
How's that
Wait
possible?
a minute. Wait a minute. And I love the smirk you made after he's talking about the injuries.
Mm.
When you, for the last 2 weeks, have been talking about the injuries with the Heat.
We talked about the injuries with the Dolphins too, but I want the coach to talk about it. Did Spo talk about the injuries? Never.
Never. Not once.
Never. He's not Doc Rivers.
We have enough.
That's not what he does. But,
Couldn't be any happier, huh?
couldn't be any happier. Well, I mean,
You lost 5 out of 6 or something.
how's that possible?
What are
You
you
couldn't be
talking
any
about,
happier.
dude? Yeah, that's the one that
So
really
you
did.
guys want the show. You don't care about anything else. You just
No.
want everything to look the way you expect it to look.
I want him to be like, Mike, we've been through a lot together, you and me.
Mm.
And just
It sounds
because
like you're about to sing a love song.
I'm just
Okay.
Raheem, and he goes,
Hey,
how'd you
girl.
think?
Yeah.
How'd you think, Mike? How'd you think that go? And he goes, Raheem, we've been at the tops. Now
Mm.
we're at the bottom. We got to pick ourselves up by our bootstraps. And instead, I'm thinking to myself, Mike McDaniel's like, go get courtside of the Heat tonight, baby.
Exactly.
Woo!
Mike, what do you think of the season?
I'm happy and I'm sad.
Yeah,
All right.
So that was my evaluation. I'm out of here.
All right, that's fine.
But he's been consistent with who he is.
Sometimes consistency,
No,
you need to
You
dig
want-
deep a little bit on feelings.
What would Socrates say to that?
wait. Did you hear what this jackass just said to me? Sometimes you need to dig deep in feelings.
Classic.
Now, I'm not even say, listen, if I don't feel nothing, should I say, you know what, let me dig deeper. Something's there. Right? No.
That's not Mike McDaniel's way.
That's right, Mike McDaniel. That is not your way.
I want him to be nothing but sad. I hope that he was like couldn't be happier.
Yeah, that's
You
what
said,
do you mean,
oh,
dude?
last time I saw somebody was crying in Antarctica. Tobin.
Good.
I don't know.
JFix says if he were to dig deep, you'd say that he lost his man card. I don't take man cards. I'm good with people crying. If I found out that Mike McDaniel was crying, I'd be like, that's Goosey's.
He should be crying.
He should be crying.
After the way it ended, he should be crying.
Especially the way he didn't adjust.
Say Armstead said
Can't weep though. You can only cry.
no, Dave South said Armstead said Mike McDaniel cries a lot and is emotional.
Well, sounds like Armstead's a better friend than Mostert is.
No, I'm just like, oh my goodness.
Closer relationship.
I would be so uncomfortable crying in a room with Teron Armstead, who's the size of a mountain.
Worst collapse in franchise history. No, it wasn't.
It was up there, dude. Dude, they should have been the 1 seed.
Really was a collapse.
It was a collapse.
Not a bad season, but a collapse.
You can add injuries to it. It was a reason, but it was a collapse nonetheless.
No.
All right.
I mean, Titans.
Y'all
dude.
ingrates.
Not
I'm gonna say
ingrates.
Y'all Dolphins fans that just think that you should have won the Super Bowl last year or whatever with the conditions or circumstances. You're ingrates.
How are we ingrates?
Because you're sitting there holding it like, do you realize you had no pass rush at the end of the year?
Yeah, I realize there were a bunch of 40-year-olds out there.
Okay. All right.
You don't talk about Melvin Ingram that way.
Well, he was. He's 40.
Let me tell you something.
They signed
Let me tell
9
you
guys
something.
off the street.
I saw him laying up on one of the displays
Leroy,
in Dunkin'
talk to the
Donuts.
mic.
Or leaning out of the camera.
I said, I've seen him.
Begging you.
I was trying to lean back so I could see Marco.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
He's on camera. Look in the thing.
Sometimes I like to make eye contact.
we're
I always
eye
look
to
at you
eye,
when
baby.
I talk.
I'd like you to make some mic contact.
Okay.
Dude, you just lashing out.
I'm not lashing out.
He's lashing out that last
He
one.
is, dude.
I couldn't be happy with how the segment's going.
Good. Let's last. No, I'm just saying, like, why? Like, you guys know why it ended the way it ended, and why the season ended so roughly. You lost a lot of players, and I know it's not an excuse, but it is a reason.
It's a reason.
And so to sit here and all of a sudden ignore that,
It did
and
feel
just
like
to say,
Raheem Mostert was very eager to hop on that, though. Like,
I mean, whether he is ready to hop on it or not, that is a reality.
Okay.
He's not making it up. Nobody's making that up, right? It's amazing because you do not hesitate to throw out the injuries for the Heat.
But I haven't said once that that's the reason they lost to the Celtics. Jimmy did. It would piss Pat off. I'm not going to look back on this season. Like, in the finals, you get to the finals and you're like, oh, we didn't have our top scorer and one of our best players had one arm. Like, okay, we're still talking about a Dolphin streak here that has lasted a quarter of a century.
Again, those guys don't know that.
I know you don't. That's fine. But that's the part where it's like, people talk about patience.
To me, you know what that sounds like? Me holding you responsible for slavery.
What?
That's what it feels like.
What are you talking about?
I'm just saying, like, if I were to hold all white people today accountable for something that happened hundreds of years ago, that's what I feel when you say they haven't been to the playoffs won a playoff game in 20-something years, and you yell at to this team. They weren't here. Some of them weren't even alive. Why are you holding them responsible for something?
Nobody's holding responsible. It adds on.
Why are you keep
It adds on, dude.
2 years? That's all they can be accountable for.
Okay.
I'm just saying, like, why? Like, I don't understand it. We haven't won a playoff game in 20. 2 was 1. Why would he care about that? All he can do anything about is about what he's done while he was here.
He's not doing enough.
I get that. You can feel that.
Oh, okay.
But he still can only be held accountable for the last 2 years. That's it.
0-2.
But yeah, at what point are we going to stop holding our current athletes responsible for something that happened when they weren't even alive?
I'm begging you to be closer to the microphone.
Well, at what point? At what point?
At what point? What? I just don't. I think here's the thing. When you have fans that do support year in and year out, and you're still getting the same result, to not understand that is a little bit crazy to me.
No, you can. But what I'm saying is this. Okay, you can say these guys haven't won a playoff game in 2 years. That's all they know. That's all 2 or 4 years. That's all he knows. He doesn't give a rat's ass about the Miami Dolphins 4 years ago.
Okay, but he's going to be
you're holding him accountable for stuff that we haven't won a playoff game in 20 years.
As a guy
why would Tua care?
I would hope that he would care. Like,
why?
Why?
He was only here 4 years.
Okay, and none of them have resulted in playoffs.
Why is he being held accountable for what has been happening to the Dolphins for 20 years?
Quarterback Leroy.
That's
the highest paid player on the team.
He couldn't do anything about it.
Cool. The last time that he's been here too, he hasn't changed anything.
Okay. All right. I got you. And I say that as a guy who roots for Tua and is a Tua fan. But I just think for Dolphins fans to say we haven't won a playoff game in 20 years, and to say that to this team is a joke.
Okay.
It's a joke. Okay. It is. Why are the current day players being held responsible for things that have been going on for 20 plus years?
Hold on. If they go on and win the Super Bowl, become the first Dolphins team to win to the 70s, will they reap the benefits of being that? Will they think, oh my God, we were the first team, or will they not care because it was just 1 year?
No, they won a championship.
Okay, because it goes down in Dolphins lore
as the second was the third to be the second or third championship. Third championship.
Okay, so that wouldn't mean
that's it.
Because that would be pretty special, yeah.
Sure.
Okay, so if you're gonna reap the benefits,
for the
hold
team.
on. If you're gonna reap the
benefits of what?
If you're gonna reap the benefits of being
when you win a championship,
reap the benefits of being beloved by a fan base.
When you win a championship, you reap the benefits of winning that year. That's it.
Really?
Yes.
So Larry Zonka
does Jimmy get credit?
So Larry Zonka isn't beloved because of something he did 50 years ago?
He won a championship.
Okay, that was 1 year though, right? So
yeah.
Okay, but it lives on forever?
Sure.
So a fan won't care about shouldn't care about this. Should only care that 1 year?
It was the only
they should only care about the 1 year.
It was the only undefeated team ever.
What about the next year?
Oh. It doesn't matter. It was only 72.
All right, dude. This is the dumbest crap I've ever talked about.
I think it's
holding a current team responsible for something that happened over the last 20 years is stupid. It's stupid.
The coaches talked about it. Yeah. You guys want to do something that's special in Dolphins history, then you're going to
be winning a championship.
Winning
a championship for any franchise is something special.
Guess what? And then if you don't do it, then you just go in the long line of lineage of the teams that haven't done it.
That's fine.
Losers.
But you can only be responsible for when you play.
Okay.
Like, to hold this team responsible for something that haven't happened in 20 years, it's like, come on. What, Tua was 3? Some of these guys weren't even born.
Okay, cool.
And you holding them responsible for that?
Holding responsible, just saying like you have been given all of these changes and all these additions that they had last year still resulted in the same thing that's been happening for the last 25 years.
But
if you don't think the fans can be pissed off about that, that's dumb.
Okay.
That's ridiculous to not understand that frustration.
Hold this team responsible for something you haven't done in 20 years.
I'm not
yes, you are.
I'm not holding Tua responsible for what happened with Cam Cameron.
But how come every time we talk about this team, they say we haven't won a playoff game in 20 years?
Dude,
what has this team got to do with that?
You're trying to tell me, as a guy who comes from Cleveland with the tortured fan base, that hasn't happened. You don't understand that?
No, sure, I understand it. I understand watching the Browns and they go, hey, they haven't won a playoff game since 94. And you know what I said then? What do these guys care about that? They're trying to win a playoff game.
They're going in and supporting year in and year out.
What does that have to do with the players who weren't here?
I'm not saying that it does. But it does add as you keep going. And
my biggest argument is this. This is my biggest argument. You take today's Dolphins team, right? And you throw in their face that you guys haven't won a playoff game in 20 plus years.
Yeah.
All they can do about it is what's happening now.
Okay. Well,
why are you holding them accountable for what happened 20 years ago?
Because anybody who's going to come at them and tell the fan base to be patient for the same results, you can make them flashier, you can give them more wins.
All they care about is when they played. That's all they can do something about. They can't do something about the misery you've been suffering for the last 15 or 20 years. All they can do is what they can do right now. So to bring it up to them, to bring it up and say, these guys were doing this when they weren't even born is a joke.
Cool. But I bet you that if they win the Super Bowl, that they'll be bringing it up for 50 years. They'll be like, that was the greatest year, wasn't it?
You win a championship, of course.
Okay, so I can only bring up the good, but not the
bad. If they win, wait, hold on. If they win a championship right now,
forever, right?
Let me finish, please.
I haven't. I'm going to let you talk. Go ahead.
If they win a championship this year, right? That means that they will be responsible and praised for the championship that they won, not what the people in 72 did. Are we celebrating Tua for going undefeated?
Do you think that they'll only be celebrated this year, or do you think that they will come back for year after year
But
after
they're
year
gonna
to celebrate
But they're
that?
going to be celebrated for winning a championship.
Okay, but do you think it's just going to be this year, or do you think they'll be celebrated for
They're
years to come?
going to be
Just
celebrated
answer
for
my
winning
question.
it.
Just answer my
What are
question.
you talking about?
Do you think that if you win the Super Bowl as a Dolphin for
You're
the first
winning
time,
the chip,
dude?
you're going to get celebrated
Please answer
forever.
my question. Just answer my
What do you-
question.
I don't know.
Okay, so you are going to celebrate forever?
Yes, why wouldn't
Oh,
you?
so that gets to go be in lore, but not being part
You
of
are
a losing
part of the
streak for
team,
24.
though. They're going to celebrate the team that won.
But why would it be so special?
Oh, my goodness. To win a Super Bowl is not special.
First time in 50 years?
No, it doesn't matter when. They're going to be celebrated for winning a championship not long as that has been since you've won one.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Yo, does that not make any sense to you?
Makes some sense, but I think you're being a little bit blind to the idea of
you're
being the first team to
wait.
do it in 50 years.
Yeah.
So
I think a
wait.
Brown Super Bowl means more than a Chiefs Super Bowl.
Say it again.
I think a Brown Super
To
Bowl
think the
means
next,
more
yeah,
than a
he's
Chiefs
making
Super
it like
Bowl.
if it's the Browns win the Super Bowl next year, you don't think that team's going to be more beloved than the third Chiefs Super Bowl in 3 years?
The Chiefs again.
Here's what I'm saying that you guys don't seem to understand. You get celebrated forever if you win a Super Bowl. They will celebrate your season forever. Stop making it sound like you get celebrated, but you can't get the criticism.
That's what you're
I'm
making
not
it
saying-
sound
no,
like.
I'm saying you're holding them responsible for games they didn't play. If you celebrate them winning the Super Bowl this year, they would have had an active role in winning the championship. So only blame this team for what they have
Okay,
done.
so if they don't win the Super Bowl, if they don't win a playoff game again this year,
yes,
okay,
you've been here 3 years or 4
I don't
years.
get to attack on a year in your mind.
No, for the guys that have been here, you say tour. You've been here for 4 years. You guys haven't won a playoff game. That's it. What he's responsible for, you can hold him accountable for what he's responsible for, not for what he's not. You hold him accountable for stuff when he wasn't
Because when
alive.
Tua's not here, people are still going to root for the Dolphins.
But what does that have to do with Tua? You can hold him accountable.
That's who he plays for.
Hold on. You can hold him accountable for the games in which he has played. Does that make any sense to you?
Yeah, I get you.
Okay. And before he got here, he did not care about the Dolphins.
Okay.
He might have been a fan of another team.
You think he's rooting for the Cowboys?
So right. So here he is, a fan of the Cowboys, and then you go, hey.
Why are you so far away?
In 5 years, you're going to be held accountable for
I need to
the
get him like a
Dolphins losing
mic that he takes with him,
Over
like a
his head.
stand-up
Yeah,
comic.
definitely like a wire.
But I don't understand that.
I don't understand. How
I
you
don't understand how you think you can hold somebody accountable for something that happened when they weren't even alive.
Accountable is like I think you.
You are.
I'm not holding accountable. Like,
What do you
but
call
to not understand, like,
Why would he care what you're going through for the last 20 years? All he can care about is what he's had an active role in the last 3 or 4 years.
I guess that's kind of like a lack of empathy thing because the whole if people are sticking
Welcome
through hard,
to my life.
what do you mean?
Lack of empathy.
Go.
Because you're not understanding like the fans who have been there for the heartbreak all the time.
What does that have to do with Tua?
They're on
You
the
being
team.
a fan back
They're
then.
on the team. Like, do people show up for nothing?
Tua doesn't care
No,
about my pain.
Again, I understand what you're saying.
It's messed up.
But what
Tua.
I'm telling you, to say that to Tua or to the guys on this team right now that just got here,
But that gets back to
who cares? Why would they care?
okay. But that gets back to my point. Is like, if you're going to feel that way, who cares? You would be. I bet he would care if he's the one who does the good thing. That's the first guy to
But
do it.
wait, if you win a championship for any program at any level,
Mhm.
you will be celebrated for winning that championship till the end of time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Why?
Because you won a championship. You won the ultimate
So you're going to be
goal.
beloved by the fans?
Yes.
Okay. So, but you wouldn't turn that down and be like, that was just 1 year.
No. Do you understand how big the championship is?
Yeah, I do.
Do you? Then why
Do you
don't
understand how long 25 years is?
But no. Do you understand?
A long time.
I'm not talking about playoff wins.
Mhm.
I'm talking about a championship. If you win a championship, you will be celebrated for winning that championship throughout the existence of the franchise. Okay, it happens everywhere in every sport.
Right.
They celebrate
Just like your
championship.
Okay, and just like your streaks. Why was Detroit so special to them last year?
Because the first time they've been anywhere.
It was?
Oh.
Different situation.
Oh,
dude.
okay. That's different. That's different. We'll take a
Oh.
break though. We'll be back after this.
Oh my God. This is
QA.